Hey guys, Jamie at the Summer Rain channel. Welcome back. So today we're going to go ahead and make a lotion. So I absolutely love making lotion, and I really thought I would go over all of the steps to making a lotion, walk you through it, go through some troubleshooting, do a whole bunch of things so you can make your own homemade lotion and you can feel comfortable doing it. So I wanted to start out by going over the phases of a lotion, right? So there's 3 separate phases that we're going to work with when we're making a lotion. You're always going to have a water phase. Now that's going to include water or water soluble ingredients. So in this one, it would be the water and then also the vegetable glycerin. The next phase for a lotion is typically the oil phase. So this is going to include obviously oils, butters, our emulsifier, any oil soluble ingredients are going to go into that phase. And then the third phase is the cool down phase. Now in the cool down phase, you have the ingredients that have to be added after the temperature is dropped below a certain point. For this one is actually 122 degrees Fahrenheit is the hottest that it can be before you add the cool down ingredients. So you want to be below that point before adding them. I did put the full recipe down in the description box down below. I also put a link to my blog. So in my blog, I go a whole lot more in depth about all of the steps. There's a printable recipe. There's a whole lot of great information on the blog. If you want to go check that out, it is summerrain.website. And I have a lot of information on there about this lotion, but also about a lot of my videos. I make one for pretty much every video that I make. I did want to explain to you, like when you're making this, and this is one thing that you want to be really careful of, and I kind of want to go over them now. So if you have to troubleshoot at all, you will know exactly what I'm talking about and you will be able to fix it right away. You always want to heat your oil phase and your water phase at the same time, and you want to get them to roughly the same temperature. So when I first started making lotion, I don't know how many times I did it, but it was like had to have been like 3 times in a row that I heated the oil phase. I had everything measured out. I was feeling pretty good. I forgot to heat the water phase. And then I dumped the oils in there. It just turned into a big waxy clump and I had to start over all the way from the beginning. So just try to remember that those 2 phases both need to be hot. They both need to be heated to roughly the same temperature. And what I do is just pop them both on the stove at the same time. The other thing that I want to mention is when you're using the immersion blender, you might think that you get away with using like a hand mixer or mixing it by hand, and you can't. So the thing about lotion is oil and water don't mix, and that's essentially what we're doing is we're putting oils and waters together and we're making a lotion. So you really need that high shear, you really need that fast moving immersion blender to break up the water clumps so you can create an emulsion between the water and the oil. So the smaller those molecules are, the better they are going to stay together in a lotion. Now, it's never going to be perfect. I mean, at some point, this lotion will separate because it's not intended to last forever. But if you use the immersion blender, then your odds of getting a well emulsified mixture is going to be better. While I'm on the topic of emulsions, I do want to mention that you want to make sure that you have enough of emulsifier and a co-emulsifier to create a good emulsion. So typically those 2 are going to be around 6%. It can be a little bit more, it can be a little bit less, but if for some reason you're not getting an emulsion, I would check to see what your emulsifier is and what your co-emulsifier is. Make sure that you have both. I would also make sure that you're using an immersion blender. Now, when I'm using the immersion blender, I start out with pulsing it because it can get a little wild. And when it's very watery, it wants to like jump out of the container. But then I will mix it on full speed and I mix it for a while. I'm talking a couple of minutes. I really want to make sure that the emulsion is good in this lotion because it is necessary to create a lotion. Another thing, if you are just starting out with lotions, that might freak you out when you make it. So in the video, when I make the lotion, you're going to see that it is a very runny consistency. And you're going to be like, oh my goodness, what did I do wrong? Why hasn't this thickened up? And I actually have the leftover lotion right here. I left a little bit out of the bottle. And it's going to thicken up. You just have to allow it to cool down. So the cool thing about lotion is when it is heated up, when it is still at a certain temperature, it's going to be very liquid. So that's going to allow you an opportunity to get it into your jar before it turns to lotion, because this is not super easy to get into a jar. Now, if for some reason you let your lotion thicken up and you did not get into your jar, I'm going to go ahead and put a video up here that'll show you a little hack about how to get lotion into a jar after it is thickened up. So if it's thickened and if you haven't gotten into your jar, don't freak out. If you're putting it into your bottle and you notice that it's still thin, don't freak out. If you're using my recipe, it is going to come out to about this consistency here. If you can see that, it is going to turn out to be a lotion consistency. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in and learn how to make our lotion. The most important thing here is I want you to have fun. I want you to feel comfortable when you're making and doing this. So if it was me, I would start out with like my recipe pretty much exact. And then from there, go ahead and tweak it, change it, make it your own. You can really have a lot of fun with making lotions. All right, let's dive in and learn how to make a lotion.
We're going to start out with our water phase. So what the water phase is, it's all of our water soluble ingredients. In this one, I have distilled water and vegetable glycerin. So it's very important to use distilled water. That's because you're going to take out all of the impurities or things in the water, because all water is not created equal. So just use distilled water. And then the vegetable glycerin is a humectant, which means that it's going to go ahead and draw moisture to your skin and hold it there. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and grab the vegetable glycerin and we're going to pop it right in there. I already have the water in a heat-safe container. So let's go ahead and look at our oil phase. So I have hazelnut oil, which is a dry oil, meaning that it's going to absorb into your skin relatively quickly. You can swap this out for a different carrier oil that you have on hand. And I have cocoa butter. So cocoa butter is a hard, brittle butter. This is going to create a layer over your skin, kind of like a protective layer on the lotion. And then I have stearic acid, which is a co-emulsifier, and emulsifying wax NF, which is our emulsifier. So we need this to create an emulsion because oil and water doesn't mix. So this is what's going to hold everything together. And this is going to help thicken the lotion up just a little bit and also help out with the emulsifying. Go ahead and grab another heat-safe container. Pop in your hazelnut oil, stearic acid, emulsifying wax, and your cocoa butter. So what we're going to do is grab 2 double boilers. I just use a saucepan with a little silicone mat in the bottom to prevent the containers from bouncing all around. We're going to put our oils in one and our water phase in the other. Now we're going to place both of these on the stove on a low to medium heat until they melt completely. Well, I guess the water is not going to melt, it's just going to heat up. We're going to do it until the oil phase melts completely. So here are our ingredients, and they're both heated up, so they're both roughly the same temperature. I did wipe the outside of the container to get any of the water from the double boiler off, and I'm just going to dump it into my mixing container. And then into the water, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the oils. Now be careful because the containers can still be pretty hot. And very quickly, we're going to hop in with our immersion blender. Now what I like to do is I like to start with pulsing the immersion blender. So even though I have a taller profile container, and that's why I put it in this container, it still has a tendency to like jump out of the container at you when it's thin. So start out by pulsing with your immersion blender, and then you can get to the point where you can mix at full speed. And then I'm just going to mix this up and kind of check the temperature. Our preservative that we're using is Liquid Germal Plus, and that has to be added below 122 degrees, and I'm at 116.7. So I'm going to go ahead and add the fragrance oil, vitamin E oil, and my Germal Plus preservative. Now you can use any preservative that you would like, just check the manufacturer's use rate and also what temperature you can add it at. So I'm just going to mix this a little bit with my spatula, and then I will go in with the immersion blender one more time. Our lotion is going to thick up a whole lot more than what it is here, but while it's still in this liquidy state, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the bottle. So I love this container just for mixing in, but this is one of the times that a spout container comes in handy. So just grab your bottle and go ahead and dump your lotion in there. Now, normally I'll add a little bit of color to my lotion. I didn't this time because I'm using this colored bottle, so it doesn't really make a difference. If I was using a clear bottle, I might have added a little bit of color into it. Now, if you're using colorant, either go with a liquid one, or I often use mica powder. Now, with the mica powder, you have to wait until the lotion is thickened up quite a bit before you add it. Otherwise, it kind of all settles down to the bottom. So we're going to want to wait until this is completely cooled down before we go ahead and put the top on it. So just leave it sitting on your counter until it cools down. Before I put the lid on my lotion, I did want to show you this leftover lotion that I have in the bottom of my mixing container, just to show you that it will in fact thicken up. So when we dumped it into the container, it was awfully thin, but now it is obviously thickened up into a lotion consistency.
Also, if there's anything else that you want to know, or if I missed anything in this video, feel free to hop down in the comments below. I do my best to answer as many of them as I can. I really hope you enjoy making and using your own lotion. Bye!